Cars 2. Remember Cars 2? I try not to. Cars 2 and absolute trash go together like peanut butter and jelly, or Discord mods and underage girls. Either way, Cars 2 stands out in a decent franchise as being absolute garbage, unfocused, chaotic, and completely void of any of the qualities that made the first Cars movies a success. In fact, Cars 2 is so unbelievably ridiculous, I had to take breaks while rewatching it for this video. In fact, it was so bad, I was literally watching the B movie on the side just so I didn't tear out all of my hair. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Cars 2 is so bad, I had to use the goddamn B movie to help me cope. That's like drinking hydrogen cyanide to treat heartburn, or meeting the priest alone in his office after Sunday school. I could go on and on about how bad Cars 2 is, but I think it's universally recognized as one of Pixar's worst. Wouldn't it be cool to instead find out why Cars 2 is absolute trash? Well, that's what this video is. But in order to understand why Cars 2 is so awful, we need to see what made the other movies so good.
Finn McMissile, British intelligence.
Tow Mater, average intelligence.
No amount of therapy will ever make this moment okay.
Now, don't get me wrong, Cars is by no means a cinematically masterful series. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's definitely one of Pixar's weakest in terms of its storytelling and themes. It's definitely Pixar's most American project with constant references to 60s and 70s car culture. Most of the songs are country or western, and obviously Route 66. But what made the original Cars such an iconic and memorable movie was its focus on, well, cars. The whole point of creating this universe was to show viewers the world of cars, the challenges that cars face, and the value that we as humans can gain from this world of cars. That's what Pixar does, whether it be the world of toys, bugs, emotions, rats, fish, and whatever this is. They essentially take inanimate objects or living creatures that normally have no feelings and personify them to portray a new and interesting world with conflicts unique to those worlds. Take Toy Story, for instance, Pixar's best franchise across all movies. The reason Toy Story was so successful was because it was an immersive look into the world of toys and had conflicts that were unique to toys. There was a reason that they were toys. Toy Story 1, what happens if my kid finds a new toy? Toy Story 2, what happens if my kid breaks me and moves on? Toy Story 3, what happens if my kid outgrows me? Toy Story 4, what happens to other toys who don't have kids? Toy Story always has a conflict that is unique to toys. The theme always stems from a plot that is unique to toys. If Toy Story had none of this, then what's the point of making a movie about toys? Why not make the movie about clothes or furniture or food or, wait, food?
No, please, have mercy!
I am a menace, smacking this balls like in tennis.
Sorry you had to see that.
Yeah, I still don't know why the studio made that, but, anyway. Now, what about Cars? Well, the first movie has a plot centered around racing. That's good, a premise that is unique to Cars. Okay, now, what do they say about Cars? I guess they say that there is more to life than just winning an empty cup? Okay, not bad. That idea of winning isn't everything isn't unique to just Cars, but I guess it works here. But hey, I mean, that's not the only thing the movie has unique to Cars. Cars break down, right? Boom! Conflict unique to Cars. That's why the original Cars works, because it has a story, conflicts, and characters unique, more or less, to the world of Cars. There is purpose with them being cars. That purpose isn't as pronounced or as distinct as Toy Story, but the first movie wouldn't really work if they weren't cars. Even though the plot is loosey-goosey and the conflict is kinda goofy, at least there was a reason for them to be cars. And that's where the second movie misses the mark completely. But you know what? I can't possibly take you good people through this dumpster fire all by myself, which is why I've enlisted the help of my good friend, Star Wars Boy. Be sure to check out his channel, link in description. So take it away, Star Wars Boy.
What do you need with 16 tubes of lip balm? You don't have lips. It's not for my lips. I don't want to know.
Hey guys, it's me, Star Wars Boy. You may be surprised to hear me talk about anything other than Battlefront 2 stats, but guess what? You're wrong. Today, we're talking about cars. Before I was introduced to Star Wars, I was a massive Pixar fan. I watched Toy Story, Up, The Incredibles, and I was a Pixar film enthusiast. But my favorite movie out of all of them had to be Cars 1. It's a simple story that hooked me as a kid, with lovable characters, memorable scenes, and an extraordinary finale. Lightning McQueen can easily win the race as he's on the finish line. Instead, he turns around and pushes the injured car to the finish line, and uses the true advice that his mentor gave him. And now that we're done with the good story, let's go on to the bad one. The plot of Cars 2 is absolutely terrible. I'm going to explain the entire plot, and you guys just have to assume that I am not leaving anything out. Ready? Let's go. Elon Musk has created an alternate fuel source that is claimed to be better than oil. And you may be asking me, Star Wars boy, what is this alternate fuel source? And I can tell you that I don't know, because the movie doesn't say. The bad guys see this fuel source and get kinda mad since they have a bunch of oil rigs that they can make a bunch of money from. So they create a telescope that heats up a car that used all in all and causes them to literally explode. Oh, fuck me! This movie just game ends cars left and right, going to the extent of crushing a car into a little square. What is happening? So the spies are trying to find out who would do this just to make alternate fuel look bad. And plot twist, it's the guy that created it. So they find out Elon Musk is a terrorist and capture Car Hitler, and that's it. That's the movie. Now I know why I never knew the plot of this movie.
Whoa, didn't see that coming.
So now that we know why the plot sucks, let's poke even more holes. In the middle of the movie, Mater has to run away from the Mafia while listening to the spy lady and talking with Lightning McQueen. And he starts spewing garbage that McQueen listens to. And because of that, he loses the race, causing him to tell Mater to go home. First of all, why are you listening to Mater? You know he is a brain-dead moron that has no experience with racing, and you still listen to him. You should be mad at yourself, being a professional racer that listened to a tow truck. And later in the movie, Lightning McQueen says that he is still going to be using all in all, the alternative fuel, in the final race because it's apparently safe. Homie, you just saw like 5 people get bombed after using it. How is that safe? The big Elon Musk twist makes absolutely no sense at all. At no point in the movie is it hinted that he is a bad guy. He's actually pretty chill throughout the entire movie. And out of all the people to figure this complex plot out, it's Mater, the tow truck. Mind you that this is Lightning McQueen's trilogy, and Mater has more screen time than him in this movie. Now, the obvious red flag here is that we went from a wholesome racing movie to a spy movie with guns and bombings. The best thing that would have happened to this movie is if it wasn't made. At least, not yet. I am all for bringing crazy stuff into a franchise. However, you can't do it right away. The reason the MCU is so well structured is because the first few movies are playing it really safe. But after they secured an audience, they got a lot weirder with the stuff. If this movie was the 4th or 5th film in the Cars franchise, I probably would have liked it a bit more. Instead, it's a terrible sequel to an amazing childhood film.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
Now, another problem I have with Cars 2 is how unbalanced the movie is. What makes other Pixar movies great, particularly Wall-E, is that it's subtle with its themes and messaging when it needs to be, particularly in the beginning scenes, yet it knows when to be apparent, like when we first experience humanity's indifference to living. Wall-E can be enjoyed by both children because they like the cute robots, and adults because they enjoy the perfect balance of nuance and apparency that the movie offers in its storytelling. And what about Cars 2?
What is happening? This is a bad dream.
Well, yeah. But I mean, what do you expect? When your protagonist is literally Tow Mater himself, you go in knowing that the movie will be extremely one-noted. I mean, nothing in this film is subtle. It's just explosions after loud noise after explosion after stupid one-liner after car death. Another gripe I have is how the movie assumes its audience is stupid. I appreciate when movies acknowledge the significance or message their story has, but I abhor when it's spoon-fed to me. The movie should leave you with pieces of a puzzle that you yourself have to put together to interpret a cohesive message. Now, I get it's a pretty niche example and not an outstanding film, but Ben is Back is a movie I watched recently that encapsulates this idea of allowing the viewer to form their own interpretation based on puzzle pieces that the film gives you. It's a Julia Roberts movie that explores an addiction-tortured child-parent dynamic in which Ben is hesitantly welcomed home back into his family after seemingly recovering from his opioid addiction. Now, my point here is the film ends quite ambiguously and frankly abruptly when we find Ben lying in a barn overdosed and dead. What precedes is actually quite a good emotional performance from Julia Roberts, but then the film hands you a puzzle piece when we find that Ben isn't actually dead.
Boy, please.
And with that single breath, the filmmakers have given Ben life and have given the audience a piece that they can use to continue the narrative. Ben continues to live, so what will await him in the future? Will he continue on the same path, involved in drug crimes and masquerading his addiction from his family? Or will he finally become sober and live the life he attempted and wanted to live with his family? And that's the nice thing about this movie, because it lets you decide. Where Cars 2 fails is how unidimensional it is with its messaging. I mean, what is the source of McQueen's conflict with Mater? Well, I guess Mater acts like a goofy hillbilly and ruins McQueen's race in Tokyo. What is the motivation for the villains? Because I guess they cry whenever someone calls them a lemon. What is Mater's internal conflict? He feels like he's never taken seriously. Now, this movie just has no nuance, no room for interpretation. In fact, the film has this one scene where everything adding up to this conflict is shown to us once again. Like, dude, I have seen the movie. I know what happens. Why do you have this scene showing me everything that happens again? I have brain cells. I can put these puzzle pieces together. I know why Tow Mater is big sad. But that fact aside, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to talk about this guy.
You're paranoid, sexist, and you make fun of the elderly. Those are just quirks.
Mater doesn't work as a protagonist. The reason he doesn't work is because this is not his franchise. Okay, so in the original Cars, Mater was used as a side character, the best friend to the protagonist, and was mainly there for comedic effect, save for a few key interactions he has with McQueen that actually leave an impression, like how he teaches McQueen about backwards driving and leaves an impression of how knowing where you've been is integral to knowing where you're going. But that's it exactly. Mater only works with McQueen. It was such a move out of left field to take this movie about Lightning McQueen and his journey of self-discovery through racing, and then immediately make a sequel about a side character with cheesy and frankly stupid spy influence. I mean, every time that goddamn Spy soundtrack comes on, I just get so infuriated. Yeah, that one. Oh god, man. Jesus, this has no business being in a Cars movie. Luckily though, the Cars franchise doesn't leave a totally bad taste in your mouth, as there was one thing that saved it.
Oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Cars 3 actually does a pretty good job at fixing the shenanigans from Cars 2. This movie acts as a proper sequel to the original Cars and continues to explore the journey of Lightning McQueen, particularly as he continues to cling on to his past success despite his aging. This is what I like about Cars 3, because it takes McQueen's narrative, which was what the original movie was about, and it continues it, completely ignoring the events of Cars 2. This movie's themes are much more coherent than 2's, spinning a narrative of I decide when I'm done and how the past is integral to the development of the future. This is How to Train Your sequel, and I actually find it hilarious how not a single reference is made to Cars 2. I mean, good stuff, guys. This is pretty much what I'd expect from a Cars sequel, and you managed to ease my PTSD of this thing.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Good things. Okay, this is the segment where we cover the good things of this movie. All right, are there actually any good things about this movie? Well, I guess some of the race scenes are quite good.
I know, right? Imagine a Cars movie with actual race scenes.
I guess Francesco's exhaust is quite nice. That's another good thing about this movie.
Find him in the dirt.
Francesco Bernoulli.
There's a car pope, which I thought that was pretty amusing. And, well, I guess there's this moment.
Movie. I thought it was just a preview and I didn't realize I was paying for it. PPS, that's funny right there, PP.
Other than that, I mean, this movie's a chaotic mess. It's disorienting, unclear, way too many plot holes, the character development is garbage, and frankly, Cars 2 is just annoying to watch. So go watch literally any other Pixar movie, definitely not this one, and actually be sure to check out Ben is Back. It's actually quite good.